Libby here with the WooRecruit YouTube channel. What is WooRecruit? We are the only recruiting process designed specifically for the lawn care and house cleaning industry. So if you're in a high turnover industry such as construction, roofing, lawn care, landscaping, and house cleaning, or commercial cleaning, we are the service provider for you. And we have a very special guest. If Mike, you'd like to introduce yourself, jump right in.
Sure, Libby. I've been in the lawn care landscape industry now for about 25, 26 years. Built and sold multi-seven-figure lawn care company, and now have gotten into a company called Simple Growth. We do marketing automations, and then also help folks set up their CRM, such as Service Autopilot, for their scheduling, estimating, and job costing, kind of really getting to know their numbers and know their metrics. And then our final piece is we've created a coaching division now where we help businesses put the process and systems to break $1 million. And we brought in the 8-figure business experts and our masterminds group to help people, whether it's 5, 6, or 10 million and beyond, get those processes in place to scale business from the experts who've been there.
Love it. So I always start off the episode asking everybody the same question. And it's, what is the number one hiring mistake that you've made?
Literally just hiring a heartbeat, literally coming through the door, 2 feet in a heartbeat.
2 feet in a heartbeat. I've never heard that rhyme before, but it's a good one.
Yeah, it's 2 feet in a heartbeat coming through the door, not having a documented way to actually go out and interview and hire and onboard folks. And honestly, right down to a really crappy job ad. So if there was a mistake to be made, we've made it multiple times. After probably going on 25 to 30 years now, I don't think we've got it totally figured out, but we definitely have learned from some mistakes. And some of the stuff, Libby, we got lucky enough the first time to get it right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've hired some really great people at the beginning with like absolutely nothing, like horrible at everything. And some of them are still with us, which is actually pretty surprising. But they must have saw something in maybe the company or aspirations of the company that really attracted them to that. So, that being said, I know that you're a big fan of automations and helping people set up certain things like onboarding and processes. So, what's your take on automating your onboarding?
So let me get clear. Automating is not to replace people. It's really to replace the mundane and repetitive tasks. But to its heart, it's really to make sure what should happen happens when it should happen. It's personalized, but it's predictable and happens each time. So the automations are going to be set into place per se is when they come in that, hey, we've got their welcome package, their PPE, their personal protection equipment's there. A week after they're hired, we're sending out an automated postcard to the family, thanking them to allow them to work with us, all the great things they're doing. Maybe their annual or quarterly reviews are set up automated, so it comes up. But all the things that create a standardized, welcoming, predictable system and not walking into complete chaos for the first 30 to 60 days would be considered my ideal automation. Right down to getting their payroll documents, making sure they're filling out the documents so they can get paid on time. All those things that got to happen, we just lay out in an executable blueprint. But there's still maybe people physically doing those tasks, but a tasker to do is telling them when to do it, how to do it, and there's a deadline if they don't do it. I
love that because so many people, and I'm going to get into the AI topic, and I'm going to get a lot of pushback over here. So many people are trying to get AI to do their job for them. Like there's an AI screening phone applicants. And, to me, I love automations. I love technology. I love AI, but you said it, it doesn't replace the people part. It's still a very personal interaction. And I think that when people start to take like that personalization out is when the quality of our applicants and candidates will really suffer from that. We have to find that fine line between automating that process itself and then automating the workflow in the office. I love automating the workflow in the office because then it still kind of keeps that. I like finding a balance because it keeps it lean, so we save time, but also still personal. So thank you for saying it's not replacing the person.
No, don't. We just want to take them from the whatever they're doing, the $50 an hour jobs to the $100 to $150 an hour jobs, and make their life easier. And that's the kicker, because a lot of people freak out like we're going to replace all these people. We may cut some fat out, but for the most part, it's really just to help everybody in the process to make it smoother and more predictable.
Yeah. And we just finished the Fearlessness podcast, and we started to talk about, if a business is broken and you create an automation, a sequence, an onboarding, marketing. And I said the same thing. If a business is broken, and that's okay to be broken, we've all been broken at times. But if it's broken over here on Woot Recruit, what we realize is we're just amplifying the broken. And you had said the same exact thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that's where you got into the mastermind, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Brad Martineau's 6th Division, he's an OG of automations back in the Infusionsoft, now Keep era. But Brad had a really interesting word he called it blimplementing. But it's like when you blueprint and you implement together, you're blimplementing. You don't want to blimplement. So basically, I like to use the analogy of building a house, Libby, especially down where you guys in the South, you guys get hurricanes and all types of craziness. Like, you're going to build it to a blueprint. You're not going to put random doors and windows everywhere around that house. Like, there's certain things you need to put together in a certain order to make it structurally sound. You're going to blueprint it and then you implement it. So you got to figure out what the manual process is and document it and make sure it works. And then we can implement it and automate it. But then you can figure out where are those personal touches and what do we need. And that's going to create consistency. But so too many people take a broken system that's not blueprinted and they just go right to the implementation phase. And that's been, I think, our competitive advantage. It's simple growth, like literally doing this now, probably close to 10 years plus with the lawn care company moving into this, is foundationally, we got an education how to blueprint, break the system, fix it, and then implement it. It wasn't just a shotgun approach.
I love that. I think we could be related, because I tell people, so, I coach in CBF for Debbie Sardone. And so we have a lot of cleaning industry over on my side with Woot Recruit. We do a lot of lawn care and landscaping as well, but they all want, hey, like, what software do you use to automate this? Like, how do you automate that? And I'm like, first, you have to write it out. First, you have to try it. Does it even work? First, you have to do it manually to make sure there's a flow. Does it flow right? Does it feel right? And then once you have a process, then you can automate the process. But you can't just come in like to go by ClickUp and say, I'm going to automate nothing. Like, I'm going to automate whatever comes into my head. You have to have that process. And I love where you said you have the experience because you've already tried it. It's tested and proven through simple growth. And I think we have the same thing. I was doing this over here in my cleaning company of how I was recruiting for years before it turned into Woot Recruit.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we got something here. This actually works. But the other 100 things we did might not have been so great.
No. So I love that aspect of writing. Like, please just write it out first and then see if it even works. Because I find that so many people want to just go straight to automation. They don't even have a process. You can buy the blueprint, like, from me or from Mike. But if you're trying to automate your own process, that's where it becomes difficult. And you have to have the blueprint first, the process documented, and then you automate it.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
And I think, Libby, another thing that we might want to hit too is like whether it's the hiring, the onboarding, or anything in your business, like we need to go deep and stay the course. Like you've got this silver bullet effect, like oh, it's next shiny object, like squirrel, like this is gonna fix it. But like you've got to go 12 or 18 months, whatever it is, and go deep enough. Like, and let's imagine like we're digging this well and we've got all our perfect potential employees in there. And we're drilling down and we have a couple spurts, like 2 or 3 popping out. But man, if we went really deep and we went 12 to 18 months, we're able to A/B split test and actually get some analytics, like we might have this unlimited pool of the best lawn care or cleaners or techs ever. But we may not ever get to that secret sauce because we literally didn't stay the course and go deep enough.
I love that. I do a Saturday morning date live because me and my husband do morning dates. So we do it Saturday morning. We do them live and stream them. And literally our Saturday morning date topic was, are you pushing the skip button? Like, are you trying to skip and you just want the shiny object, or you're just trying to skip and say, well, they have 20 techs. Why do I only have 10? And I'm just trying to get to 20. And I'm not really being specific and going deep on what's working and how do I get to 20. They got to 20 because we don't know the work behind what they did to get there. But we just want to push that skip button, or we're so distracted by the shiny objects. I think it's the entrepreneur ADD or ADHD.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. But I love when it comes to recruiting, automating that process, onboarding, to automate as much as we can. So love the topic, but still keep it human. And it will help save us a tremendous amount of time. So my next question, Mike, is you've hired technicians and you now have a more corporate level company. We could call it C-suite, corporate, software as a service. What's the difference in hiring in either side?
Well, the revolution has turned into a corporation, Libby. You are correct. There is no doubt about that. I guess, and this is like back to the lawn care company for sure. We flew out to Phoenix and we got some training on the culture piece. It's like I said, 2 feet in a heartbeat through the door. We weren't intentional. So we got really clear as a team and a leadership team what our core values are, and we literally hired, trained, and fired to those, but right down to the actual job posting itself looked different now. It was more about what was in it for the actual applicant than it was for the company. Now there had to be some requirements in that, but you need to have reliable transportation. You need to be here by 7 a.m. All that stuff, like that's a normal looking job ad. So we had to make the job ad look different. We had to be able to attract those folks. But I think the biggest thing in the later years of the lawn care company, now especially at Simple Growth and Simple Estimate, is when we go in and you get to the actual interview with the last interview where I'm on it, depending on the level, we'll actually pull up our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal. It's like this Everest mountain. But we're literally showing you the next 3 years of progression of where we're at. If we're at 3 million, we want to be to 8 million. This is how we're going to get there. This is what it looks like. Here's the room for growth. Here's the potential. The glass ceiling literally in this business is only going to be limited by your capacity to not want to grow with the company. But we're painting a picture of why we're doing it, where we're going, and how they can play a role in it. And that starts right from the job description all the way through the whole entire process. But I think that's been the evolution, is getting really clear what we stand for as a company and painting that picture of what it looks like when they become part of that team. And if and only if they align to certain things. Because when you do have a bad hire and they don't align to the core values and what you're actually the core team, like the rest of the team literally is like, they don't belong. So as a leader, you don't have a choice. Obviously you made the decision, you're going to coach them up or out, but like a lot of times there's such a conflict if it's a really bad hire that you're never going to get them to actually align. Send them on their way with a great package and they're going to be better off. They may be the best
promote them
technician.
To a new company.
Yep. They may be the best cleaning technician, but they're not the best cleaning technician on your roster.
Yeah. And I think that I love going back to the basics. And this is something when I was in the Simple Growth Mastermind, that was really drilled into. And if you read any of the great books, you follow any of the great mentors, they keep drilling into the same thing. And I think so many small businesses miss this marker, and it's your core values. I think, and I did it when I was first starting out. I'm like, oh, I don't have time for that. Like, we're just cleaning. Like, I don't have time to sit down and make my vision or my mission. And we just got to get the job done. Like, who cares? And then all of a sudden you get into this, oh, I'm going to put them on the wall. And then they're just things hanging on the wall, but nobody is following them. Like, nobody embodies them. And I find that there's like evolutions in business, and the faster that you can get to really understanding that it all goes back to the basics, which is those simple core values, but they have to be right. Like mine, I just like copied them from Debbie when I first started. I'm like, I don't know what mine are. Like, I'm just going to take Debbie Sardone's. I was like,
that's a good start, but probably not applicable to your organization.
And then we wonder why we attract people that are not a good fit. Or I'm like, oh, I don't want to write a job ad. I'm too busy. I'm just going to go copy somebody else's. But then we wonder why we're attracting people who are not a good fit.
Yep. And it's interesting because none of this is new. So I don't care if you use the elite methodology we teach in the masterminds, use EOS. Ryan Deiss just literally released a book, as you're watching this, within the last month or two, called Scalable. And he's merged the elite methodology, EOS, and some other Greg Collins and other stuff like that, kind of all together, mishmashed. But it's all, when it gets down to the core of it, it's all the same. It's just one maybe a little more flexible based on the size of your business or how you want to execute it. But there is a common thread, Libby. They're all doing it. And every shop tour that we've gone to with the Masterminds group literally is using some version of this EOS or elite methodology or Ryan Deiss's Scalable. So I think there is a common thread, but they've all been extremely intentional in taking the time to make it particular and personal to their business. They haven't like literally just copied the example out of the book.
Yeah. And you know, we only know what we know. We're busy. We're trying to just get by. And so it's okay to do those things. But then there's a certain point where, you know, your company, somebody asked me the other day, I hired a fractional CMO for Woot Recruit. And she said, why did you change the logo? Because it was a different logo and I changed it. And I said, because I felt like Woot Recruit needed to grow up. It was kind of cartoonish and like too light, like kiddish. And I felt like it needed to grow up. I wanted to be taken seriously. And she goes, that's the best example I've ever heard of why someone changed their logo, like rebranded. I said, I want to grow up. And, but, you know, I feel like it's okay to do those things to a certain point because that's all we know and we're just trying to get by. But then once the company needs to eventually grow up, that's where I was going with the logo. And if you really want to grow and scale your company and hire properly, these basics, right? Whether it's the elite, it's EOS, and then there's other software versions, Agile, that, you know, they have to be taken seriously. And it's because they're so important because they provide structure to your company. They provide that foundation, like Mike was talking about, to your company. You know, finally, I wrote down, you said you give your hires the BHAG. You know, I got to where we actually took all of our core values off the walls because we were that company for a while that was just words on a wall and didn't mean anything. So we took them off and we redid them. And I then wrote a vivid vision, which is a Cameron Herald. It's like a BHAG, but it's a way more detail as far as how it feels and not so much about money. And, you know, that was, for us, changed everything in the company and the way that the current employees looked at the company as well. It was probably one of the greatest things I did. It was also one of the things that contributed me and Paul to splitting up at Woot Recruit because we saw that our visions didn't align.
Well, and it was a vivid vision. Write that down if you're listening to this. That's awesome.
It's a Cameron Herald book. If you don't know Cameron Herald, he also wrote Second in Command. Great book. He is a crazy little character. He's a good time, like Garrett. But so, you know, that for us changed everything because now we give that to our new hires. Now people look at that. Do you want on this ride? Because there's room for you, but you have to keep up. It's kind of the message that we're relaying to the new people that are coming in. And these are the values. And our values now are so strong in the companies that the second they don't fit those values, you can tell.
It's crazy how that happens, right? It's just, it sticks out. And if you as a leader aren't going to like basically point that out and like address it, the team will, because they've all bought in. So it's actually like, that's the craziest thing. If you're having an off day or an off week, the team's going to hold you as a leader accountable to actually uphold that conflict of alignment as well.
Absolutely. So love this topic. We've been on for almost 20 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up. I don't want to keep Mike. He's a busy man. And so we'll make sure that we put all of Mike's information in the show notes so that you can reach out to him if you're interested in automations or his mastermind group as well. I do highly recommend his mastermind group as I was in it. I was the only house cleaner in it. But if you're in, do you take any industry, service industry?
It's lawn care heavy, but we do have a few that are non-industry specific, such as cleaning. So yeah.
Okay. I highly recommend it if you're in the home service business. I learned a ton and it was his field trips, I think, were my most favorite part.
Yeah, and for sure, if you're in the cleaning industry, I think the best place to go right off the bat, as you mentioned it, Debbie Sardone, the queen of Mop-Free Millionaires. She's got one hell of a platform.
Yes.
So definitely, if you're going down that road and you're that industry, that would be my first suggestion. But yes, we do service other industries, but predominantly it's lawn care and landscape.
Awesome. Sounds great. And we'll make sure, again, that we put that information in the show notes if you want to check out Mike. And guys, that's a wrap for today's episode. It was a pleasure guiding you through this journey of what effective recruiting and onboarding can look like. Remember, transform your hiring isn't just a myth. It is reality. It is within reach. For more insights and strategies, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and our blog post.